Alright, welcome guys to the Wrestling Angle. I am here on a Thursday morning. After a long night of wrestling last night, I got a chance to finish watching AEW Dynamite, and man, what a show. And I just got one thing I got to play for this in honor of AEW Dynamite.
Here comes the money. Here we go. Money talk. Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Because let me tell you guys, that show last night was money. That is how a wrestling company should be run. It had action from top to bottom, and the show was really well booked. They started off with the Christian Cage versus Frankie Kazarian. This is Christian Cage's first match in AEW, and it was a good one. It really set the tempo for the show, and I have to give that match a 2 woos from Ric Flair, baby. That was it was awesome, and it was really awesome to see Christian Cage back in the ring. He showed a little bit of rust, but it's nothing that I can't get past. Last night's show for AEW was 10 times better than NXT. As you can tell that I'm really hyped up for it. Like I said, it was a great show from top to bottom, and I really picked the wrong show to review last night, and this is probably one of the main reasons why after Mania, I know I harped on it, and I harped on it, and I harped on it last night, but I am seriously considering canceling my network membership and just focusing on AEW from now on, because WWE has really done their product wrong, and they're not using the guys the proper way. But I am not here to talk about NXT or WWE. I don't want to get all that negativity out and push it away, and let's talk about some positive things that took place on a wrestling show that was produced the right way. So we're gonna start with so a little Snoop, and of course my phone is ringing, and I want to thank Sean for sharing this post. And before I forget, I want to give a big shout out to my buddy Sean, who is the host of The Closed Fist. Tonight he is producing his very first wrestling production, Daddy Yeah Productions, out of the Grapplers Anonymous dojo. And I want to wish that man luck. He has done nothing but been a huge supporter of this show. He's mentioned my show on his show, and I mention his show every time I'm on the air. So I want to say a big congratulations to Sean and the Closed Fist, and for them doing their first production with Daddy Yeah Promotions. So, and that's going to be live on Facebook tonight, guys. 7:30. I guarantee a great show. This is Western New York Wrestling. You're going to see a lot of guys that perform in ESW. And these guys at Grapplers Anonymous put out some really good talent. So, I am guaranteeing a phenomenal show. 7:30 on Facebook. And I'm assuming it's going to be on the Closed Fist website, or Facebook page. So I want to get that out of the way. Sean is, like I said, he's been a great supporter of the show, and he's a great guy. So any support that I can lend him is awesome. So let's talk about AEW. AEW had a phenomenal show last night, and like I said, they started off with Christian Cage versus Frankie Kazarian. These guys have a little bit of history going back to the old TNA days when Christian jumped from WWE to TNA. He was NWA's World Heavyweight Champion over there, and it gave TNA the name, because they were coming off the Attitude Era, and Christian Cage was a big part of that Attitude Era, along with Edge and the Hardy Boys, and it was a name, and the announcers did a nice job explaining the backstory to this match. Christian Cage and Frankie Kazarian are friends outside of the ring. They've trained together. They've wrestled each other. Excalibur mentioned on commentary that he called a tag team match with Christian Cage and Frankie Kazarian, and it was phenomenal. So this match, like I said, Christian looked like he had a little bit of rust on him, and you're going to get that. The guy hasn't been in the ring for 7 years. And, I was originally down on the fact that, AEW had signed Christian Cage. It was kind of a letdown. And, thinking back of it, it's not a letdown, because this guy really brings a lot to the table. He brings in-ring experience. He can help the younger talent. I want to thank Matt Johnson for that like. Matt's a big supporter of their show too, guys. Check out and the share. Thank you once again, Matt. Matt Johnson is a big supporter on my show too. We got a nice community of podcasters going on here in Western New York. My buddy Gary runs the Husky Heroes and Heroines, or Healthy Heroines podcast. Matt Johnson is the podfather of Western New York podcasts. He's got his hand in pretty much every podcast that's going on here in Western New York. And he runs the podcast precinct. That's where those guys tape their podcasts. So, big supporter of the show, and I want to thank you, Matt. So let's get back to AEW. So, like I said, Christian, he had a little bit of ring rust on him, and that's going to be expected. But that ring rust came off real quick, and they had. What was nice about this is that AEW gave both these guys enough time to tell a story in the ring. And that's what you're really looking for when it comes to wrestling. You want these guys to be able to tell a story. It's two guys fighting. They're friends outside the ring. They've got professional competition going on between the two of them, and it really showed in the ring. And Frankie Kazarian did take a couple cheap shots. They're teasing the fact that Frankie may be turning heel somewhere down the road, but it's nothing that it's something that they're going to work into. So I think eventually down the road you're probably going to see Kazarian going off on his own, similar to Scorpio Sky, because Christopher Daniels is getting to the point where he's probably going to transition into a producer role for AEW. I don't know that for a fact. That's just speculation, but I love Christopher Daniels as a wrestler. I mean, he's another guy. He's been around for a long time, and if you want to see some phenomenal matches, go back and watch his early stuff in Ring of Honor. That's where I really became familiar with Christopher Daniels. And a little known fact, that, and this has been confirmed by Bruce Pritchard, that Christopher Daniels was considered to be the chosen one, or not the chosen one, the higher power when they did the McMahon Undertaker angle in WWE. Unfortunately, it didn't work out, and the guys and the writers at the time didn't think Christopher Daniels was a big enough name to pull off that spot, and then obviously that spot was taken by Mr. McMahon. But and looking back on it, that worked because McMahon was working on the Mr. McMahon character, and it just added to it. And so that's just a little known trivia for you, that Christopher Daniels was supposed to be the higher power. So I would look for somewhere down the road Frankie Kazarian turning heel, because you can always use a good heel, and I think Kazarian could be that. So like I said, phenomenal match. They gave these guys plenty of time. They did a lot of cool spots in this match too, and but Christian Cage ended up coming out with the win. He beat him with sorry guys, I just got it. The kill switch. So, which was the unprettier in WWE. So it's good to see that he's still using that move. He's still using the frog splash. And he got the win on Frankie Kazarian. A really good match to start off the show. And that momentum just continued through the entire show. So then we got a vignette with Sting and Darby Allin, and they're talking about how it looks like that Darby Allin is going to be feuding with the Matt Hardy group, because he was talking about how he doesn't give a shit about Matt Hardy's money. This is another thing. You can tell, and I'm just speculating, that Darby Allin is producing his own promos with Sting. This guy has talked about he wants to be a filmmaker when he's done with wrestling, and it's pretty cool that Tony Khan allows him to produce his own vignettes and show a different side of him. And it's a darker side. I mean, the Darby Allin character is what it is. The guy is what he is when he's in the ring. That's the way he is outside the ring too, and that's a dark character. He's a skateboarder in real life, and he's looking to be a film producer. So hey, more power to him. And if he can do what he's doing now and producing his own vignettes and continue to do what he loves to do as far as wrestling, hey, more power to him. And Tony Khan is giving him that platform. So then we got a Jade Cargill promo where she sent a message to Red Velvet. Cargill says she knows Velvet was shook before they even met in the ring, and that she says she looks like money and is already making Tony Khan money. Cargill tells Velvet to keep lifting her little weights and knows that Velvet will never beat her in the ring. And she says, "I'm that woman, I'm that bitch," and that ends the segment. So, another money segment. I was originally really down on Jade Cargill, because I just didn't know where she came from. I mean, she looks like an athlete. She's got a phenomenal body. She can talk on the mic. But what I've lacked, or what I haven't seen, is when she has a one-on-one match. And it looks like she's going to continue this feud with Red Velvet. And let me tell you something, guys. The women's division in AEW is on fire. This is the way that you produce, or this is the way that you, produce great talent. And, I can't say enough good stuff about AEW's women division. You've got, my favorite wrestler right now is Tay Conte. My second favorite wrestler, and she's on the shelf right now, is oh shit. Here we go. What the fucking names? This is what it happens. I've got so much stuff going on in my mind. I'm so excited about this show, is the fact that I forget her name. But she's on the shelf right now. She just had shoulder surgery. She's part of the Dark Order. You guys know who I'm talking about. Another one of my favorite workers. These two girls are friends outside the ring, so they can capitalize on the friendship breaking up somewhere down the line, and they can go from there. So, anyways, let's move on to the next match, which surprised me. It was Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall. It was supposed to be an exhibition match with Arn Anderson as the referee. And what I've been seeing is that Cody, this is how much of a student of this sport he is. You can tell he's Dusty Rhodes' son, because this guy goes and puts the work in, goes back and watches old stuff. So I read a post on one of my news sites that Cody he went back and watched the feud between Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko, and how that feud went from Bruno was the mentor and Larry Zbyszko was the student. And he took that angle and put it into this. And what we saw was QT Marshall basically turning heel. But what I didn't expect was the entire Nightmare training group to turn on Cody. And that's what ended up happening. And Arn Anderson got knocked down, and that's when all hell broke loose. Dustin Rhodes ended up getting color on it. He got pile drived by QT Marshall on the stairs, and the whole Nightmare training group basically turned on Cody. Great segment, great storytelling. I cannot wait to see where this angle goes. And as you can see, what's in this cup is my iced coffee. That's another reason why I've got so much energy. I woke up this morning after having a show last night. I fell asleep in my basement, got woken up by my dog at 4 o'clock in the morning, decided to go to bed, and my wife, and this is why I love this woman, she let me sleep in. She's currently working, and she knew I was tired, and she knows that my sleep patterns has completely been fucked up since I'm not working. So I stay up really late watching streams, thinking about different ideas to do for this stream, and she let me sleep in. So that right there is a good woman and the love of my life. And let me tell you something, guys. she has allowed me to do this. She hasn't been really pressuring me to get a job, and I'm looking every day. And I was a little down on myself yesterday. I got an email from a position that I interviewed for, and I wasn't what they were looking for. So everything happens for a reason, and there's something out there. I'll find it, whatever it is. But this is the kind of stuff that I deal with. It's no secret. All my friends know. I've talked about it on this show. I suffer from anxiety, and it has really hit its peak since COVID started. And I have to find the right environment that I can work in. And it's got to be a positive environment. I'm sick and tired of the negativity that we see going on in the world today. And surprisingly enough, there's a lot of negativity that goes on in the workplace. But what I need to do as a person is keep myself out of that negativity. And that's enough about that. Talking about me, I just wanted to give a shout out to my wife who let me sleep in today. God love her. And God love her for having to put up with me, because I am a handful. So let's get back to the review. So the Cody Rhodes versus QT Marshall match, money. It's totally money.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
Okay, so money. It's all about money. And I think this feud has the potential to go for a long time, at least until the next pay-per-view, where they could have a blow-off match between Cody and QT, and they've got plenty of shows to build up this storyline, but I don't think the storyline hit its peak last night. I think it's just starting. Anybody that is a student of wrestling like me knows that feud between Bruno Sammartino and Larry Zbyszko went for quite a long time. But that's what feuds did back then. Feuds went a year, and they weren't hotshot booked. And you had to go to the house shows to see the feud go to that next level. And I think that's what AEW is trying to do. And I mean, they're doing a hell of a better job than WWE building up stars and building up storylines. There are so many storylines going on AEW right now that it's it's kind of hard to keep up with it. So, but like I said, a really good match. The match ended up in a no contest because everybody pretty much interfered. And, the nice thing about it was that QT didn't even get on the mic. He didn't even explain why he did what he did. And, and that gets you tuning into the next show to see if we get a interview from QT and we find out why the students attacked Cody. It gets you thinking, and that's what wrestling is supposed to be. It gets you thinking about the storylines, and that's what I love about AEW. So then we got a promo. We're gonna see a brand new tag team on AEW Dark Elevation. And that tag team is going to be Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. All Ego and Scorpio Sky. These are two guys that have a bone to pick. And and they're going to do it in the tag team. The only thing that I'm a little concerned with is these guys have really both been known for their tag team matches. Ethan Page with Josh Alexander, and Scorpio Sky with Frankie Kazarian and Christopher Daniels. I would rather see them work as a duo and have two single careers rather than see them form a tag team and go after the AEW tag team titles, that are currently held by the Young Bucks. But it'll be interesting to see. They're going to be facing Matt and Mike Sydal on Elevation on Monday, which I'm seriously considering not doing a Raw review show and doing an Elevation review show. I'm still going to do my WrestleMania show with my buddy Gary because I think that that's going to be a good show. He's got some great takes on wrestling today, and we'll see what he says about how he thinks WWE is doing. So that's coming next week. Next week is going to be a huge week for this show. It's WrestleMania week, and I've said it before and I'll say it again. WrestleMania is like my Super Bowl. So I'm going to be doing some shows. I'm going to be doing the WrestleMania prediction show with Gary. I have to get in touch with him and see what day he's free to do it. We're going to be talking about TakeOver next week. I'm going to talk about the Hall of Fame, and of course I'm going to be talking about AEW, and we'll see what happens. So, but getting back to AEW, so we're going to see Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. They're going to be in a tag team match on Elevation. So, which I think is a really good thing, because I don't know how many of you have watched Elevation, but Tony Khan is really bringing in the independent guys. A big example of that is Big Time Bill Collier. He had a match on Elevation, and then he had a match on Dark, and he was at the show last night in the crowd. So I hope Big Time Bill Collier gets signed. This is a guy who has been a staple in Western New York wrestling for a long time. Both him and Pepper Parks, who was Blade in AEW, along with the Butcher and the Bunny. These guys are from Buffalo. They're known as the Buffalo Kids. And I just really hope that this guy gets signed. I mean, we're going to be so happy for him. He's one of my favorite wrestlers in ESW. And this guy deserves nothing but success, because he's really busted his ass on the independent circuit. So then, next up, we get a promo with Red Velvet, who came out and saved Cody during that segment with QT. QT was getting ready to pile drive Cody on the stairs like he did to Dustin, and Red Velvet came out and made the save. And then we got an interview in the back with Dasha, and Dasha asked, you're part of the Nightmare Training Facility. Why did you come out and save Cody? And she said, because Cody's my partner, and that's what partners do. And then she got attacked by Jade Cargill. I keep saying her name wrong. And she got thrown into the stage equipment box, and then Jade walked off. Then we got another promo with Jon Moxley talking about how he's facing Caesar Bononi tonight, and I mean this is another guy, Jon Moxley, giving a younger talent, Caesar Bononi, who was in NXT, was once again WWE doing nothing with a talent, and they let the guy slip through their fingers, and what happens? AEW picks him up and sign him to a contract. And yeah, I want to welcome in Logan Matthew Berry. Welcome in, buddy.
Hello.
John Cena.
Yeah, I'm on early because I just got done watching AEW Dynamite, and I got some stuff going on this afternoon with my daughter, and I'm known to do my Thursday shows early anyways. This is just going to be an AEW recap. I'm talking about how it was a phenomenal show last night, and it really blew NXT away. Yeah, that's I got that off of I asked Lag where he gets his sound effects, and he gave me the website for it. And there's a bunch of sound effects on there. The problem is that you can't search for them, and I want to get some different ones on there. I've got a couple different ones on my Stream Deck. So yeah, it helps. The Stream Deck it's a nice touch to add to the stream, and I really love it. And my mom got it for me for my birthday, and I have some really awesome support for this show, and that's my family and my friends, and obviously the people that come in here like Logan, who I met on Lag Nation or Lagnarok Gaming. Give a shout out to Lag. He is a big supporter of mine too, and I'm a supporter of his show, and he puts on a phenomenal show. So next up, like I said, we got Jon Moxley versus Caesar Bononi. And like I said, Caesar was a NXT trainee, and it's somebody that WWE let fall through the cracks. And AEW picked him up and signed him to a contract, and he's a great talent. So he had a really good match with Jon Moxley too, but there's not too many. I mean, I think Jon Moxley could have a good match with a broom. They used to say that about Ric Flair and and Shawn Michaels, where they could have a great match with a broom. Jon Moxley ended up picking up the wind on that wind. I keep saying wind. Win. I can't talk this morning. It's too early, and I've got too much energy too. So he picked up the win with a referee stoppage due to a submission. Caesar Bononi went to go pick up Jon Moxley for, I believe, what looked like a power slam, and Moxley, he reversed it and got on Caesar's back and put the sleeper hold on him. So that was the referee stoppage, and it was another good match. To just add to the show, I mean, it just started from the first match to the next match to the next match to the next match, and getting to the main event. So backstage, we got a interview with Team Taz, and as we know, that Team Taz has some problems in his group. It's not a surprise. They've got some guys in that group that should be singles guys. Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, for one. and we can just, going back to something that I said last night, is I don't like the fact that Hook is out there. That's Taz's son. If the kid's training to be a wrestler, then let him go train and be a wrestler. And, stop trying to work off your dad's name and go and train, be a wrestler, get your own style, and try to limit yourself from being around your father. So, and I think that's what's probably going to end up happening, because we're seeing some dissension in the ranks of Team Taz, and you're going to see Brian Cage go off on his own and be a singles competitor. But it's going to be interesting to see how that works out, because Cage is holding the FTW belt, which really doesn't mean too much. It's just Taz's belt. It didn't mean anything in ECW. They tried to have it mean something, but they brought it back in AEW, which was cool. And Taz gave it to Brian Cage, but you can probably see that you're going to see a feud between Ricky Starks and Brian Cage, which is going to be good, because these are two young guys who can go in the ring. Ricky Starks has some phenomenal talent. He reminds me of The Rock when he first started. He's got the gift on the mic, and he can work in the ring. Brian Cage, he's on the other end of the spectrum. This is a guy that looks phenomenal in the ring. He's a muscled up guy. Hasn't done a lot of talking on the mic. That's why they put him with Taz. But I think if they give the guy the opportunity to, let him go out there and let him get on the stick and let him talk. And in the past too, when he was in Impact, he never did a lot of talking either. So this is a good time for him to take the bull by the horns and step up his game and get that one piece that he's missing, and that is talking on the stick. So, but we're gonna see a a feud down the line between Brian Cage and Ricky Starks, and it's going to be another aspect to the AEW show, and I think we could see some big things. This next segment was MJF's gift to the Pinnacle, which was introduced last week. MJF has his own group, the Pinnacle, and he's got Shawn Spears, he's got FTR there, he's got Tully Blanchard, he's got Wardlow, and then we got MJF. And we know that their big feud is with the Inner Circle. They took out the Inner Circle last week. Or no, 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago they took out the Inner Circle, and they formed their group. And I think there's some big things ahead. So he introduced this goofball who is a tailor. He opened up a book that had all these different patterns of suits and all that, and that was MJF's gift, along with the fact that they're in Inner Circle's locker room. He talks about the fact that how they need to freshen up this locker room. It smells. Goes over to the bathroom door, opens up the door, and lo and behold, who's standing there? It's the Inner Circle. We got Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Santana, and Ortiz, and the only one missing is Jake Hager. So MJF shuts the door, and he says, "We need to get out of here." He goes to the locker room door, opens it up, and there's Jake Hager, and all hell breaks loose. And this was a great segment to this show. And once again, it goes back to This is how you build up feuds. You give it a little bit of a break for a week. You get the heels in there, and you get the heels talking about how they took out the Inner Circle, and then you bring the Inner Circle back in some type of surprise, and there you go. You got yourself a feud building. There's a lot of how did I say it? A lot of match potential. You know, Sammy Guevara versus Shawn Spears. Those two squared off last night. Obviously, MJF versus Chris Jericho. You got FTR versus Santana Ortiz. And of course, you got Tully Blanchard in there. And I just want to point out the fact that it's fucking snowing here in Lewiston. And I thought we were done with this shit, but it is fucking snowing out. Okay. They said it was going to snow, but I didn't believe them, because the weathermen here in Western New York don't know shit, and none of them deserve to have a job, because and you know what, too? The weatherman job is the only job that you can have and make a mistake and not get fired, guys. And you know, I'll use this is what I used to say all the time to my wife, because we'd watch Channel 4 News, and they had a weatherman on there called Don Paul, and this guy was fucking wrong all the time. And I would always, every time he'd be done with his weather segment, I'd be like, fuck you, Don Paul, and my wife would be like, take it easy. Well, I get worked up about stuff like that, and this guy's a freaking moron. And matter of fact, I hope he sees this. He probably won't, but if you see this, Don Paul, you're a moron. And that's all I got to say about that. So anyways, once again, this was...
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money. Money, money, money.
So this segment was money, and it builds up the feud between these two groups. Next up, we got an interview segment with the Young Bucks. The Young Bucks showed last week that they walked away from Kenny Omega, and it left you thinking about, where are the Young Bucks going now if they're not going to be part of this invasion group with Impact Wrestling? Because last night we had a six-man tag, a trios. And you know, that's another thing too. The AEW is not using six-man tag. They use trios, which is a lucha thing. And I really like that. And, you know, that's stepping outside the box and stepping outside the tradition of wrestling. Because it's always been called a six-man tag. And now it's called the trios, which is also how New Japan does it too. So, but we got an interview segment with the Young Bucks. Don Callis ended up interrupting, and if I remember correctly, I think Callis slapped Matt Buck, or not Matt Buck, Matt Jackson, Matt Buck, Matt Jackson. And it really it's setting up for what happens on later in the show. Next up, we got the match that stole the show. It was Rey Fenix and Penta with Laredo Kid versus AEW World Champion Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. This match had so many high spots in it, it was ridiculous. Let me tell you something. 2 stars were made out of that match. Rey Fenix, who has always been a star, but Laredo Kid looked really good in this match. And, you add in the Good Brothers. These guys were bouncing around for the Luchas. And I really liked the match. Kenny Omega, the only thing that I think Kenny Omega needs to do is he needs to get a tan. He's way too white. He shows up. He looks like a ghost on the TV. But that's the only bad thing that I could say about this match. And I'm not really... I'm more of a traditional guy when it comes to wrestling. I've stated that in the past. And I don't like when there's a lot of high spots because they have to mean something. But every high spot in this match meant something. And the Luchas really came out looking like stars. The only other complaint too that I could say is that Penta, he really looks like he's got some ring rust going on that he needs to shake off, because the other two guys were flying around the ring. Penta is more known for his ground game. But he can fly around the ring when given the opportunity. And so anyways, the heels ended up winning this match. And then all of a sudden, John Moxley comes out. And he's getting ready to get in the ring. And lo and behold, who follows him out is the Young Bucks. And when I went to go charge the ring, the heels duck out of there. And obviously showing the fact that there's going to be another time that these three guys face off. Then we got a promo by Britt Baker and Rebel. And they talk about how Thunder Rosa is going to be on AEW Dark Elevation, and saying that she needs to be on that show and Britt Baker doesn't. But it was a great promo. Britt Baker is money in the ring too, because she's got it all. She's got the talent in the ring, and she can talk on the stick. I encourage everybody to go and listen to Thunder Rosa's interview on the AEW podcast. This is a girl or a woman that has a lot of passion for this business. And so does Britt Baker. But this interview was phenomenal. Tony Schiavone and Aubrey Edwards host that podcast, and you could really see the emotion that Thunder Rosa has towards this business. And she's an MMA star, and she brings that into the ring. So she talks about the day leading up to the Lights Out match she has with Britt Baker. Phenomenal interview, and I encourage everybody to go talk about it. We get another segment where Matt Hardy talks about the bunny being excluded from the title picture, and she wasn't even included in the women's tournament match. And tonight, how they're going to take care of Tay Conte and Akuro Shida. So, which leads into the next match. Tay Conte is my favorite women's wrestler right now. Right next to Britt Baker. She's got the look. She's got the fire when she's in the ring, and she's got the moves too. Her and Shida ended up coming out on the losing end of this. Tay Conte ended up getting pinned by the bunny. But what a great match. And it really showcased the women. Tay Conte got a lot of offense in this match. Actually, all the women pretty much got a lot of offense in this match. But I think what you're going to see down the road is you're going to see a match right with Tay Conte and Shida, because right now Tay is she really should be considered the number one contender for the belt, because her wins and losses, which they talk about wins and losses meaning something in AEW, that with her wins and losses, she should be number one contender for that belt. And I would love to see her win it. I know the guys at the Closed Fist, especially Big Sean, he is a huge Britt Baker fan, and he says that that division belongs to Britt Baker. But you know what? There are just certain people out there, or certain workers, certain wrestlers, that don't need belts. And Britt Baker is one of them. And if she wins the belt, then it's just an added thing to her character. But she is the type of worker and type of wrestler that doesn't need a title. And, I will compare her to like Steve Austin. When Steve Austin won the belt, it was just something to add to his career. He didn't really need it. He was the hottest thing going in wrestling back in the Attitude Era, and he really didn't need the belt. But they put it on him anyways, and they did a nice job building up to the fact that he was going up against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania. So, but the winners were the Bunny. The Bunny got the pin. This is something too. I really think by the Butcher and the Blade, and the Bunny going with Matt Hardy, being contracted with Matt Hardy, I think we're probably going to see a lot more matches from Bunny on AEW, which is a good thing, because she really should be included in the women's division, because she's a great worker. And if you want to see her work, go back and watch her stuff in Impact. She was Impact World Champion over there, and I've only seen her work in person once at ESW. She was known as Allie back then. I mean, she's still known as Allie, but you can go back and watch that on YouTube. I can't remember who she faced, but she should be showcased in that women's division. So we got the card for next week. We're gonna have Jon Moxley and the AEW World Tag Team Champions, the Young Bucks. They're going to be facing World Champion Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers in a trios match. We're going to see the Bunny with Matt Hardy, Blade, and the Butcher versus Ty Conte with Evil Uno and Stu Grayson. It looks like Ty is going to be connected with the Dark Order, while, and I remembered her name, Anna Jay, is out with a shoulder injury. We're going to get our Darby Allin versus JD Drake for the AEW TNT Championship. JD Drake is another one of those guys that has worked the independent circuit and put in the work. And he's very close to getting a contract with AEW, if he hasn't gotten it already. He's worked in Evolve and FIP, and I believe he has wrestled for I can't think of the name of it. It's run by High Spots. You can see it on PWX, Pro Wrestling Experience, and he wrestles for them. So we're going to get a interview segment with the Inner Circle, and then we're going to get a match between Jurassic Express and Bear Country. Which Bear Country is another team that everybody needs to watch. These guys are phenomenal workers, and I think they're going to do big things in AEW. Then we go to the backstage segment where Jungle Boy says that he's tired of Bear Country throwing Marco Stunt around. You know, to be honest with you, who hasn't thrown Marco Stunt around? He's so little in that ring. He makes the big guys look really strong. So he says, why don't you pick on somebody your own size? And that's when Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are going to be facing Bear Country next week. Next up, we got the main event, which I was a little bit nervous on how this was going to be pulled off, but they were billing it as Arcade Anarchy. It's anything goes pinfall or submission match, and the nice effects. They had the whack-a-mole game out there. They had a bunch of the video game console or cabinets, Donkey Kong, Space Invaders, Mortal Kombat, and these were actual machines because you could see that they were working. And I'm sure they were told to stay away from using the machines as weapons. They pretty much used everything else besides the working machines. They had an arcade, like if you go to let's say for example you go to like a place like putt miniature golf. You know how you can win those tickets, and then they have like the prize board up there. Well, they did the same thing with this. This was a nice touch, but instead of having a prize board, they had different weapons that they could use in the match. They even had an AEW toy belt up there, which was pretty cool. They had a kendo stick. They had a garbage can lid. They had a teddy bear that was full of Legos. This Lego spot, it was really nice to see it brought back. It was first done in PWG, and generally what you see when you see somebody pull out a sack, it's generally filled with thumbtacks. And the independent circuit was starting to do, instead of thumbtacks, they were using Legos. And anybody that has stepped on a Lego in your bare feet or your shoes, it hurts like a motherfucker. And I know for a fact my kids play with Legos, and I've stepped on plenty of Legos, and they hurt. I've stepped on a couple thumbtacks in my life too, and I'd have to say it hurts worse than that. And so the thumbtacks were brought, or not thumbtacks, the Legos were brought into the match, and this was a really well done match. The faces, meaning Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor, ended up coming out on the winning end. Just on a side note, Miro looks to be in phenomenal shape. Let's hope that they move away from this feud. Like, this is the blow off to this feud. Even though all four guys came out looking like stars in this match. Let's hope that they move off, and let's put Miro and I would love to see him have a match with Darby Allin. That would be awesome for the TNT belt. And that's a feud that's coming down the line. We got some returns last night. Chris Statlander, that was a nice little spot where she was in the Claw game, and she's going to renew her feud with Penelope Ford. That's another person that they really need to showcase on the show. Penelope Ford's a phenomenal worker. She's not just eye candy and not just a manager. You know, she's just like Bunny. She's a worker, And those two girls actually are kind of like best friends outside of work too. And but we got the return of Chris Statlander. She ended up popping up in the claw game, and because Penelope Ford ended up kicking Orange Cassidy in the balls, he moved towards the claw machine, and then all of a sudden, boom, Chris Statlander pops up, and she's returned. She pushes the glass into Penelope Ford, which was a pretty sick move. She climbs out of the claw machine, and Penelope ends up slapping her. And Chris Statlander chases her up under the ring apron, and she ends up doing a what looked like a package pile driver through the tables, which was really sick. It was a really cool move. And you can tell that Chris Statlander was trying to protect Penelope Ford because she had her neck covered, and she took the majority of that bump. So you're probably going to see that feud continue. Then we also got, as the fight continued, Orange Cassidy and Chuck Taylor were crawling up the side rampway area, and all of a sudden in the background we see car lights, and as the car gets closer we see that it's Trent Beretta's mom, and out pops Trent Beretta, who is officially back, thank goodness, from his shoulder injury. And it's just another thing to add to the best friends. And so he ends up attacking Miro. The ending of the match comes when Chuck Taylor basically does a power bomb. He power bombs Kip Sabian through a table and gets the win. And then at the end of the show, we got the faces all celebrating in the ring. And then I guess when the show went off the air, we got Orange Cassidy announcing that Chris Statlander is now part of the Best Friends stable. So, I don't know. I've seen some segments with Statlander and Orange Cassidy. I don't know if those two are dating in real life, but they really have some chemistry on screen. And if they're not, I apologize for saying it, but I want to apologize for the fact that they have great chemistry on screen. So he announced that Statlander's now part of the Best Friends stable, and it was good to see Trent back. I mean, Trent is a star. This is a guy who, ever since he got released from WWE, has gone to Ring of Honor. He's done PWG. He's gone over to New Japan and won the New Japan Junior Tag Team titles with Rocky Romero. And this is a guy that just flourished. And not to mention, he's a pretty cool dude. I've met him in person at the shows. And a lot of these guys, that come to the independent shows, you think these guys are just coming in to get a paycheck. But this is a guy that took the time to talk to fans, and he knows how to market himself. And he got me to purchase one of his t-shirts. And keep in mind, guys, when you're at an independent show and you want to support these wrestlers, you need to buy their merch. Same thing with here on Twitch. If you're going to support a streamer and that streamer has merch, then you want to support them in a certain way. After they become affiliated, you can buy their merch. And I did that exact thing. One of my favorite streamers is Lagnarok Gaming. He runs Lag Nation. I purchased a sweatshirt from him. I'm sorry, not a sweatshirt, a hoodie, and it's pretty cool. So I needed a new hoodie, and his stuff is pretty affordable. So, and then something to look forward down the road, guys. I'm gonna have my own merch. I'm probably gonna be making it myself. I'm not gonna be making it. My mother-in-law is gonna be making it, and she's got a machine where we can do iron-ons and stuff like that. So we'll see how that goes. And somewhere down the road, I'm hoping to have a Discord too, where everybody can go in and talk about wrestling. And but that's once I become affiliated with Twitch and I get the followers. I need at least 50 followers to become affiliated, and I'm on my way. I think that the stream has grown in the last couple months. With the help of certain people. I've already given shout outs to them, so I'm not going to do it again. But, I'm really finding that the Twitch community is very, it's a good community to be in. And if you get yourself in with a group of streamers, you're golden. So, and if you show your support for those streamers, they'll do that in return. So, which is good. So, once again, I love doing this show. I'm not making any money off of it, guys. I'm just doing this for fun. And I love talking about wrestling, and I love having interaction with people. And the stream is growing, and I could ask for nothing less and nothing more than everybody's support. I don't beg for people to support this show, but I love it when they do, because it really gets me fired up. And I love, like I said, I love doing this show. So that is my AEW Dynamite review. Very good show from top to bottom. And I was thinking about this too, that AEW is not always going to have a run, but they're giving us an alternative to WWE. And that's what I love, because nothing is better than competition. And AEW is really, they're doing their own thing. They started out with mentioning the competition, little subtle things like destroying the throne at a pay-per-view. But I think they found their niche. And that niche is just putting on a phenomenal show combined with storytelling and great wrestling in the ring. And I just hope it continues, because nothing's better than competition, and it's always good to have something alternative to WWE. So, but that's going to be my show for today, guys. I appreciate everybody that has popped in and out of the chat. I'm going to put my stream ending, which has my social medias that you guys can contact me with. I want to thank Matt Johnson and Big Sean for sharing the stream. I want to thank also those guys for liking the stream. You can check out my Facebook page. It's The Wrestling Angle 1. I'm always having news on there, all different types of things talking about. I encourage everybody to go on there, leave comments, and let's just talk about wrestling and where everything's going. So I appreciate everybody tuning in today. And probably my next show is probably not going to be until next Tuesday. I may do a show over the weekend where I'm doing some watch-alongs with some ESW stuff. But I will announce that on my Facebook page when that comes out. So I want to thank everybody for joining me today, and everybody have a good Thursday. And it has officially stopped snowing here in Lewiston, so thank goodness for that, and let's hope it doesn't stick. So everybody have a good Thursday, and I will see you when I see you.